Welcome to Tzuzamen.
Tzili.
Welcome Tzipi. Eyal left.
Eyal left.
We have Eyal Doron.
We have Eyal Doron, who just got, now he's sitting down.
Creativity Facilitator.
Right.
Working with managers all over the world.
And Israel.
He's an Israeli. From Israel.
And has a big influence through his books, right? Also.
He will tell us. We'll start.
Yeah,
Hi,
we have to somehow, okay.
Hi. Nice to see you again.
Yes, pleasure.
Tell us about your latest book. Then, because you write books, you work with so many layers of the of society. So just let's start from the book. We'll go back to the books and we'll talk about whatever you want.
Okay. So comfortable to be here. Okay, so my latest
almost
book
like
is
a family, Eyal.
Yeah, we are your cheerleaders, groupies.
Okay, it's not even a metaphor. So my recent book is called People to Learn From. So 8 life-changing courses. And the point is, so basically I chose 8 highly influential mentors because I wanted to learn more. And you know that each one of us has like a life-changing teacher. So I don't know about you, but I had, let's say, 3, 4 of them that, you know, the people that you just was so lucky to meet and change the course of your life, like so dramatically. And then I thought, why wouldn't I, you know, have the whole team, like a super team of like 8 like these? So I had a list of 25 in the beginning, and then I chose 8. It's like Jacinda Ardern, that used to be the New Zealand Prime Minister, Oprah Winfrey, no need to introduce. Reid Hastings, the founder of Netflix, Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn, Johnny Ive, the chief, one of the great designer, industrial designer of Apple, and some more. And so 8 of them all together. And what I did, I didn't talk to them in person because I decided in advance that I don't want to be focused on their greatness. It's not that Oprah was waiting online and said, I am not available, Oprah. It's not that, yes. But it was like, I will try to reach them to get to them right now after like writing after the exposure of the book. But I wanted them, but the whole point is the reader. So during like the period of writing, which was like 3 years, I kept asking myself, what is the major point that each one of them represents? If we had the chance to have only one life-changing course based on each one of them, what it would be. So like Oprah, for example, that had like a terrible childhood, okay, so, and became Oprah. So she's there to be our mentor and facilitator to deal with the past, how to use
overcome
so to use your memories
as a superpower,
even your memories,
whatever, not to be trapped in the past and to create our surprising future. Now, if you want to learn from someone about that, I think Oprah, she can be a mentor for many things, but this specifically issue is like part of her journey. And like Mr. Beast, the young, let's say, the most successful YouTuber right now in the globe, he's like the most interesting person right now, basically, mathematically. So his course, the chapters that is inspired by him, as the course of how to be more interesting. Because if someone can teach us how to be more interesting, whatever it means, and the dialogue with him is intriguing. And
so basically, what are the questions that you ask them? What did you know from them?
So I think that each one of us has we have very basic essential questions regarding our big goals, regarding the let's say, the shortness of time, how to deal with time, how to deal, as I said, to have the dialogue with our past and future. So how to feel, how to think different and to be more creative in order to struggle or to fight with the machines. We'll get to that, or whatever, the super machines. So it was like a juggle between a dance between the mentors and the questions. And I managed to find, I guess, in the end, 8 mentors that each one of them represents a very basic and essential question that we need to figure out. So each one of the chapters is basically a course by the title of the course is, it relates to one of these 8 great big questions.
But I think you need to remember that not everybody that would read it, it's not like that you give the 10 commandments and everybody that would read it would know.
No, but you
give them probably a background. You
But,
start with a background about each one of them, right?
But I think that before that, there's something more general to talk to a big crowd about how to take yourself, how to use whatever you have, and how to, before you ask these questions, because you need to define yourself in a starting point, at least.
Definitely. But the journey of this book, basically what I didn't say is that I try to all do through this period of time, I try to implement everything. Okay, so I was the student, and I changed like very essential parts of my life in the way I interact with colleagues, with my family, whatever. I did my homework. So I tried to visualize the assignments that each one of them would have given me if they were here. So after internalizing that, I watch every video of them, like reading the biographies. I forgot to share with you. We talked to their teachers, school principals, professors in the university of each one of them, with their colleagues, with their biographers,
what a research,
reporters,
sure.
With let's say in New Zealand, we talk with like the Maori community, the minority and also some of the Muslims, because it's like the Christchurch and the massacre it's one of the points in which Jacinda was nominated as one of the leading promising leaders. So I try to really to dig out every details and try to figure out what is the lesson that they have for us. And coming back to what you said about the basic assumptions, I think that these are like some of the very basic assumptions: who we are, what is our big goal, are we worthy enough to even talk about a bigger than life goal? So
but I want to say something.
Yeah.
It's like because you're unusual your way, because you're extremely creative and you have a very free way of thinking. And also, it's not that I'm saying something so general now, and I don't want to upset anybody, but the Israelis are more creative and more individualist, in many ways. When you come to a place like the United States, where they always tell you that they're very much for individualism and, create your way and find your way, blah, 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 which is true on many levels up to a point. But when you talk about people like this, that they have a major influence, they tell people what they think about their life, and people just go for it, and they don't look for themselves, because I'm talking about the majority, the big audience, not a group of people that would think independently and will go for it. And then they wait for them to tell them how to think, how to go, how to do, which is exactly the opposite. So how do you address it? How do you cross the line and say, don't follow me, use me to follow yourself?
Oh, definitely. Okay. So first of all, this is my agenda, as you know. And like my previous book that dealt with education and parenting, like how to reinvent parenting and education, was based on like discussions with like dozens of leading psychologists and researchers, by the way, most of them in the US and Europe and outside. And after like a journey, we visited 9 different countries, and like, I don't know, like maybe like dozens of thousands of students and teachers throughout the last decade. But towards the end of the book, I emphasize the fact that it's all about you, the reader, you, the parent, your intuition, and the way you are going to, you know, match all the pieces of the puzzle. So coming back to this book, so knock on wood, but this is a very popular book. And part of the reason is that, first of all, I put my weaknesses on the table, and I said, it's not about how brilliant I am or they are. I said, I don't know what to do. This is the beginning of the book. I just took like Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn to be my teacher, and I don't know how to handle it because I'm so clumsy with my business. I don't have like the strict Excel and the contacts, and he is going to be angry at me, and I'm intimidated by even to suggest myself to be his student. So it's like the whole point of departure here is me and them and you as human beings. So and the major and what was so difficult is not, so at the end of each course you have like the conclusions and the insights and the takeaways. And this is usually the big danger, because it can deteriorate into like insights like be yourself, don't afraid, whatever, blah blah blah.
Can be intimidating.
And that was the struggle, not to be general, not to use cliches, to be specific. So the whole journey was me trying to dig out the most specific insights and suggestions that each one of them has. Each one of them has to share with us. And at the end of the day, I dare to say that in most cases, that's what we managed to do. But it's like it took like 19 different drafts, only this part.
Right.
So it's like it was like.
Yeah, you started basically, well, you started with many things, but I remember this journey, you started with the happiness, how to reach happiness. And you dig in and you dig in. Do you think these people are happy? Your advice?
That's a good question. First of all, they're all obsessive. Now, it's like I'm not here to judge. I think
they can find rest. They can find peace with themselves. So all the time they are.
Well, I think that
happiness
is not necessarily about peace.
Yeah.
No, you have to find. No, you don't understand what I'm saying. It's really you have to be content with yourself, first of all.
Well, this is another question, what happiness truly is. So if we talk about like what I think, or it's like based on philosophers and great psychologists, like if happiness equals like sense of meaning in life, and like being in a dialogue with like so stepping outside of ourselves and to be in touch with a bigger goal or whatever, so of course that they are happy. Now, they are obsessive, which they have a life goal. Now, part of my scope, in order to answer your question, part of my bottom line, let's say, at the end of the journey, when I reflect upon the whole journey of this book, is that there are 2 types of people. There are many types of people, but in this context, we usually have goals and missions. But you see, these people, they don't have goals and missions. They have life goals and life missions. So this is a huge difference. I'm not saying that it's better or worse, but that's the game. This is their game. They don't have like a to-do list of missions. They have only one life mission.
Everything is towards the point that they need to achieve.
Yeah, but it's like, so they are not like motivated. It's like beyond the question of motivation. It's like they feel that they are irreplaceable, that they have to save someone, they have to redeem their country. It's for like the linear, responsible, logical type of a person. It sounds like a narcissistic disruption or whatever, or whatever you want to call it. Who do you think you are, basically? Because we were tamed by the linear conspiracy to think that we should be modest in like to choose like eye-level kind of goals or whatever. But their insight, their perspective is totally different. It's like Jacinda Ardern, which is like the most interesting example in this context. She was born in New Zealand, and I want to remind you that humility, or like being humble, is like the tall poppy syndrome. It's like all about New Zealand and Australia. So don't brag about. It's like you have to keep yourself being modest. And all of a sudden, this young lady, is speaking about life with big goals. And I was intrigued to find out what happened. And what I found is that it's the opposite way. So if you choose like a little modest goal, you keep focusing on yourself. And only if you are part of like a bigger goal, so you have to step out of yourself. And this is her answer. So it's like the opposite of what you, at the beginning think or associate with like narcissistic or craziness or whatever, or feel that you are worthy to change the world or whatever, which is like for the legal person, like inappropriate. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So the guy who is a farmer.
Yeah.
Okay. In what way he can be influenced by them? That he will develop this idea that I'm farming my land, but it's bigger than just it contributes to the civilization in some way.
Yes, I have to share with you my insights, because I was talking. I've been talking with like many people, and there is also, what about this? Now come the stage of, what about the farmer? What about the technician? What about the other? What about the clerk? What about the guy in the bank? Now, let me tell you this: we are farmers, and we are the guys in the bank. And with all the respect, we are not genius. Now, all of us, we have a spectrum, which is like, let's make it clear, we are like, I don't know about ordinary person, average person, whatever. In order to deal with this question and to deny it, we say, and what about the farmer? And what about the
But that's why I said that we need a platform that everybody can sit on and take what they need for them.
But they have to be in this position.
No, but I think
to have this need, it's a need. And what are the needs of the person that we all share, that will listen to your book? What that this person has
first of all,
which we all have.
Everybody wants to succeed.
Yeah, I want
it's not different levels.
Right.
Why not to make
it is very big. This is high.
No, but you take from this what you need for your story, for your life, for your path.
But I am provocative, I know. It's a bit intimidating.
It's
to
not
look at Oprah and say, oh, me.
Yeah, but it's
and
not,
I'm going to look at
but
Oprah.
you didn't. Yeah, I know, but you didn't. I guess that you haven't read the book yet. So the whole point with the book was how to deal with these points. It's not about Oprah. It's not about the greatest of Oprah. It's not another book about some emotional insights about her greatness. It's not that. It's about it's like turning each one of their life courses to like a kind of a method that I can use as a manual. And I can give you an example. Okay, let's say that Oprah's story is really horrible, and she became Oprah Winfrey. And by the way, she published a few books regarding that specifically. And one of her points is that how can I win the past? How can I use it as a superpower? And she said, Who
helped Oprah to get where she was, where she's now? Wait, most people don't have help.
No.
She didn't have any help, by the way.
She's talking to Oprah now, but Oprah started and not that I'm for or
Who
against.
helped them? I don't know. I'm asking
If
you.
you recognize that you need help, this is first, and then you get help.
You need the right people
and
to meet the
you
right
need
people
the
on the way.
platform to understand where you are and then start and
Oprah.
get it.
By the way, Oprah is a good
He
example.
said, who are the teachers that influence you? Who are the people who mentored you?
Yes.
If they will not be there for you, the question if you will be the Eyal we know today.
Okay.
But also you need to recognize, because to recognize a mentor and to figure out to use these people for your sake.
Most people don't have them. Okay.
Listen, you cannot
it's an
touch
argument.
everybody.
It's an argument.
Okay.
The question if the book, and I will read the book, of course.
No, just
Going
a second.
to the basics.
Just a second.
The basics. Like, let's take, my mother, for example. She could.
Just a second. In your permission, we were talking about Oprah. Just let me complete the point.
Oprah, right.
So Oprah, this is a good example because she didn't have anybody. She had she had the help over her grandma that used, by the way, to hit her on a weekly basis, in a very harsh way. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yes, and her father was very decisive, but very tough, and she had a lousy mother. She said it herself, and many other traumatic events, sexual harassment, and many more, by her cousins and family members and whatever. But then she said, and to a certain point, you have to tell yourself that you put everything behind. It's not that you forgive anyone. This is very important. That's what she says. It's not to forgive them. It's to get to the point that you agree or that you feel that it couldn't have been different. Now, from this moment and on, you stop fighting with the past, but start using the past. Now, she is a very good example because what saved her, based on what she says, is reading books. Because it was the very first time that she discovered that life can be different.
That's right.
Only thanks to reading books. This is an amazing story.
Amazing.
And this is why she founded her club.
Yeah.
And this is why every day since then, she reads on a daily basis. And she really influenced the whole industry of books in the US, etc., because this is, so what I ask, just for an example, the reader, what are your books? What is the thing that can help you imagine a totally different continuation of your life that won't be like a direct continuation of your past? So it's like taking like the mechanism of each one of the mentors and try to structure it as a method. Now, what helped her is reading books, but you and Tzili and me and each one of us need to find our mechanism to think
Because maybe I don't have a library where I live.
Our mental box, okay?
Not that if you like something else that helps you to cross the line. So the thing is really to adopt the idea and find it in your.
Yes, and by the way, just to finish the point, I talked to my mom, which is usually I was blaming her about like different things in early childhood, and then inspired by Oprah, and I share this with my readers. We sat in the coffee shop and we had a talk, and I said I have no arguments or claims regarding the past anymore. And I remember this moment, and I told her, Mom, I don't care about it. I'm not going to speak about it anymore. It's not part of our. It's not going to be part of our relationship.
It's so difficult.
It's difficult, but that's what Oprah, my mentor, told me to do, and at least try to do. And this is like part of the.
So what did you do? You need to have some mechanism to do that.
Yes, I was convinced by Oprah and the lesson that the course that I co-created with her, based on inspired by her, that in order to use your life experience, in order to use your unique past, you need to overcome the point that you keep struggling with the past and try to figure out what could have been different. It's not going to be the game anymore. And by keep asking my mother and keep blaming my mother and keep nagging about different events in the past, I'm still trapped in the past instead of using the past as my new superpower. And it was difficult, but it's my personal example is there to help other people to find their own way to do whatever they want to do.
Well, hold on. The point is that you cannot change your childhood, but you can change your attitude towards your childhood. So you can either blame it on others forever and just sink and sink and sink and sink. And you can say, okay, what do I do in order to help myself to get out of it, make it better, and move on and cure this painful.
So what if your mother will continue to do what she did to you when you today? She will treat you in the same way or the same thing that really offended you and harmed you?
My mother, no.
No, I say what if? I don't think
she doesn't offend me. The whole point was about it's ridiculous, but we're so stuck at the past usually. Yeah. So I stopped this ritual of memories from the past, and she was very it was really a very emotional moment, and it changed a lot of our dynamic.
But also your mother was a good candidate for that, and this I'm
of course,
there's something that you need to recognize with and how to do it and where to touch it.
Sure. I have like in every part of the book there are like many points and questions to the readers in order for them to implement in their own way the insights of each part of the book. But for example, Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn's founder, who is like one of like he's called he used to be called, they call him the Oracle Silicon the Silicon Valley Oracle, and so he's like extremely successful. So and he says that he has like allies. I said, what does he mean by allies? And he has this like a wonderful explanation about how each one of us can be much more courageous if we will be surrounded by allies. And he has like an amazing definition of what it takes to have an ally. It's not going to travel with your family. It's not going to meet you on a daily basis, weekly basis. It's not part of your like formal friends. But when you need them, you dial to them, and they are there for you in every crisis, especially in your profession, in your business. And they are like teammate, and they love you and they cherish you, although you can speak with them like twice a year or even less than that. And he says that when you give them the value, you provide them with the value. It's not their interest, it's for you to know that you will never walk alone again. And he makes the connection between allies and to be brave and courageous. And that's what I was trying to find out, like the tricks or the fresh, innovative perspectives of like highly successful people to play with reality and to find their own creative, original, personal map of like how to deal with uncertainty and how to be more courageous. And this is like, and so what I did, I met like 15 friends, colleagues, and I actually, as part of the writing process of the book, and it was a little bit weird, I said, well, I need to meet you, and say why. And we had a coffee and say, well, I'm now writing a book, and there's the one Reid Hoffman, and he is talking about ally, so I want you to be my ally. And I was afraid that they were about to mock me or to laugh at me. And each one of them looked at me and say, course, I don't call it an ally, but of course that I have such people with me. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so successful. Right. And I was the only stupid guy that didn't know about it. And it's like I was, you know, I was thinking that I'm coming with a new concept. It's going to be a revelation, like an innovative idea for them. So there is like, I think, an exciting way. And when I talk to people about the book, and so it's like they have like specific catchphrases or like specific tools and needs that they can play with, and they start looking for their allies, for example, or how they can deal differently with the past and how they can whatever or be more interesting or whatever. So it's like trying to take each one of these personalities and think it's like think of their life as a syllabus of a course.
Yeah,
turn it to a syllabus. Like with the first lesson, second lesson, third, second.
Wait a minute. So what about our schools? I mean, you are talking, I think you are deep into also involved in our schools in Israel, talking about Israel.
Yeah.
They don't teach all of this in school. The school didn't change since we were in primary school, or I'm wrong.
Well, there's no, well, it depends. Schools, it's not only in Israel. We have a very major issue with education, and like people were trying to deny it. But now with the AI, everything is very simple. It's right straight into your face. So whatever. So you've been waiting so many years, and we said it before, and like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's not about this disruption or this COVID or whatever. It's about something which is so much more basic. And now with the AI, everything will change. Unfortunately, we've been waiting too much. In what way? Because there's no point anymore to teach someone for like 12 years, 7 years, 5 years. It's not going to work. And I think that basically what you have to do now is like maybe two principles. First of all, you have to be able to ask questions that haven't been asked before. Now, every question that has already been asked is like you have like within 3 seconds you have an answer.
Yeah.
The AI. So you're going to be swallowed by the machine. So now you have, each one of us and each student has to at least to aspire. Maybe it's an idea, but to aspire to reach a point in which I can think of a question that hasn't been asked, or to walk in an unpaved path, just for the metaphor. So it's not, I'm not saying that I'm a genius and I'm going to rescue or save the world, but something with my kids, with my spousal relationship, whatever, little or big questions, doesn't really matter. Now, in order to do that, to be able even to dare to ask a new question or to make a new connection between options, now comes the second part. You need to deal with a greater amount of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Now, coming back to what you just mentioned, that school haven't been changed. So we now witnessed again what bothers us more than anything else is like practicing in conditions in like certainty, complete certainty. Teacher enters the class and they ask a question. Do you know, students, let's say in mathematics or whatever? Now everybody knows that the teacher already knows the answer, and this like a false like manipulation. It can be less interesting or more interesting, but it's like everything is certain. Only if at least 1 hour every day, a teacher enters the class and is going to ask a question that no one, including him or her, don't have a clueless idea if what is the answer or if we are going to get an answer at all, we will experience the relationship with uncertainty and ambiguity, and that's what we need. So if you want to connect the both points, So we need to be more friendly with uncertainty in order to be able to ask questions that haven't been asked, in order to save us from the super machine.
But basically, when you have the machine, you have only information. I mean, you get all the information that you want, but you don't have, let's say, the personal wisdom or the personal beyond that the smart people give. No. It's different because it's attached to a person and attached to experience. So basically, the whole education system will be in a basket of information that you'll have to pick and use for yourself and for your needs, which we don't know them yet.
But we have to go further than that. Yesterday, I had
a process.
I had the first class yesterday, and I was looking at my students, and I knew that I'm giving them an assignment. They may just use, the internet to answer, of the chat. How you call it?
ChatGPT, yes.
Right. They will use it, and I said, okay, you can use it, but I'm going to find a way to give you questions that you have to ask yourself of what you read. Then I don't care. Use it. It's okay, but the assignment will be, what questions are you going to ask the chat box, right?
So you both said something which is very essential, because there's a shift in the paradigm now. We used to have this is like the serious stuff, and towards the end of the day, or maybe the end of the week, we're going to reflect upon it. A bit of this, a bit of it was a very marginal activity of reflection. Now, 50, 60, 70% of the whole point is reflection.
Right.
It's like turning this knowledge to be my own.
Right.
Like this is upside down. The emphasis is upside down. And this is going to be a very revolutionized, and it's going to be quite a dramatic change, because we used to say that knowledge is power. That's not true anymore.
Right.
Because
everybody can do it.
Only knowledge that, as you said, that I have made my own.
If you own the knowledge and you know how to use it.
To own the knowledge in my own way, in my own perspective.
Right. And also ask questions about it.
To be able to create, to have an agenda.
Right.
To even to be a character. Whatever, and to be spontaneous, and to have a sense of humor, to anger at someone. So it's not enough to be logical, responsible, cautious, whatever. It's not enough anymore.
So do you believe that you can change? You can change. Can you change the Ministry of Education?
Oh, it takes time. It will change. They'll have
the force. The AI is too.
Will be too strong. Yeah.
It's too strong to ignore. It will take time, but that's what will happen. I think to prioritize what it takes. As parents, parents, I just say they can't really. Some of them can't really pinpoint what's going on, but they do know that something big is going on.
And they'll be.
And what happened? And now what happens in Israel is not only in Israel, by the way. What I was afraid from, and I told to some of the Ministry of Education that it's about to happen in 5, 6, 7 years from now, is that parents are not, they don't really argue with the system anymore, but they are more focused on saving their kids with all the resources that they have, and not only the rich ones. So this is more dangerous right now. So they gave up on the chance to change the system. So they say, okay, so we are going to do it outside of the system.
Our way, yeah.
Yes.
I want to ask you something. Let's take the basic questions that you asked your 8 mentors and move to a country. There's so many problems in so many countries now. How can you move it to a society and have these basic questions, let's say to Israel, and say, what do we do in order to move it to a better place?
Just a second, electricity issue, just a second.
So these are the people now?
No, these are
okay. Yes, so what should I do to implement these questions to
you implement it from the individual to a country.
Yes. Israel or
Israel. Let's go for Israel.
Okay, so first of all, in Israel we have a crisis. I'm not sure it's very only in Israel, but let's specify on Israel.
Yes,
So
we do Israel.
we have a crisis now in terms of political, like a major political crisis. So let's take Jacinda Ardern as our first mentor to help us. So again, she is talking about a big goal. So we, as a country in Israel, we lost our big goal. So we used to have a big goal in the foundation of the country. So after 75 years, by the way, it's quite natural that it happens. By the way, every successful company, commercial company, okay, changes its big goal in like every 5-10 years. We're talking about 75 years, okay? So there's a crisis, but it's like quite natural. So first of all, Jacinda would have told us that we have to find out our bigger than life goal. And Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn says that if you try to find your vision if you try to find and define your vision for 2,000 times, it's 1,000 times. You have it's like you have to do it at least 1,000 times more. So it's like so if we take both of them, first and foremost, we will have to deal with the idea that we don't have a goal that everyone can feel that they are associated with and feel part of. And it's going to be, I'm optimistic because I think that what we have now in Israel is like a conflict, and the conflict might be very disturbing and intimidating, but at the end of the day, the outcome will be a new category of thinking, a new definition of our vision as a country. So this is about that. Who else? By the way, Oprah will preach us to stop nagging about the past,
right?
Which we are so.
But it's not only the past, you know. It's so divided, and the future.
Okay.
They want different future, so it's not.
So you're optimistic.
But let's stop on the optimistic side because we have to finish, and I want to stay optimistic.
Somehow I'm happy you said it.
Eyal,
it gives me some kind of hope.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tzip.
Yeah,
and
thank you,
See
Tzili.
you.
See you everybody next week.
Week.
Oh?